Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Morris Jackson with Religion, Economics, and Politics. And look, I just want to take a moment out and have a conversation with you and just kind of talk about some of the things that has happened since Donald Trump has taken office. But there has been a flurry of executive orders that have been signed, and to be honest with you, has really thrown this country into chaos. There's a lot of things that we have tried to tell you or warn you about when Donald Trump was running for office. And so there were some of those who said, hey, I just can't see myself voting for a president who supports certain things that I just don't believe in. And I will tell you, most of that has been maybe just one or two issues that Donald Trump just kind of dangled out there as the shiny object. And people got so focused on those two hot button issues, and I'll tell you, one is abortion, and the other is probably the LGBTQ initiatives or agenda, if you will. Look, I am a proponent of equal rights and equal protection for all people, because if you take away discrimination or discriminatory protections for one group, you open the door to remove protections for all, including minorities like Black, Hispanic, women. It just opens up Pandora's box. So be careful what you wish for, and we're seeing that. As of right now, the executive order that was signed that took away the executive order put in place by LBJ in 1965, which dealt with the equal employment and contracts, is basically wiping away billions of dollars in generational wealth. The contracts that were owned by minorities only accounted for 1 to 1.5% of total contracts awarded by the federal government. But in saying that, we're still talking about $20 billion in contracts that were minority owned. Now, some of you may say, well, it really didn't benefit us because, it mainly benefited white women. I get it. I understand what you're saying. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what do I mean by that? Well, by saying, well, I don't care, take it away because it's mainly benefited white women, which, they're considered minorities as well. But then you're also throwing out business opportunity for all of those other minorities, Black owned, veteran owned, those are disabled, all of these different protected groups. You're throwing away generational wealth and you're wiping out opportunity for all those folks. So that's why I say when you have elections, they have consequences. Look beyond just the one issue and look at, okay, well, you know what? I like this particular issue, or I may not necessarily agree with another issue, but if I vote based on that singular or maybe those two issues, what are the repercussions as a whole? What does that mean? Also, with the rollback of DEI programs, the federal government is basically unofficially, they're not going to recognize Black History Month. Folks, I would say we're opening up the door now and prepare for it, because we tried to tell you this from the beginning. You're probably going to look at the abolishment of HBCUs or they're already underfunded. So you're probably going to see either further reduction or basically funding for HBCUs being wiped out altogether. Oh, speaking of that, in the military, the Air Force is no longer going to teach new recruits about the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, as a veteran, that is a slap in the face, because you had thousands of African Americans who fought, put their lives on the line, and put everything out there, sacrificed everything, left their families to protect the freedoms of the United States, and to be honest with you, freedoms that they didn't even get an opportunity to enjoy themselves. So by doing that, we're opening up the door for all of this to happen. We've already had pretty much the abolishment or the rewriting of the African American history as we know it in our school systems, because they labeled that as CRT, critical race theory, which really was non-existent. It wasn't even being taught at the grammar school level. It was actually a course that was taught in the college as a part of college curriculum. So it just made no sense whatsoever to me that that was introduced. But just be careful when someone comes to you and they promise you something. Look at what's the motive, what's the spirit behind these things. So a lot of Christians bought into it. A lot of white evangelicals, a lot of our more conservative Christian denominations bought into it because, hey, I can't support a candidate who was supportive of abortion or women's health care rights. I can't see myself voting for someone who supports equal protection under the law for people in the LGBTQ community. Look, I don't support abortion. I don't believe in it. I do believe that it's a moral issue that is between you and God. I don't necessarily agree with the LGBTQ lifestyle. I do think that is a moral issue according to my biblical beliefs. But I am not going to discriminate against someone because of the way they live their lifestyle or things they do. Look, there are heterosexuals out there who are not living a morally pure life, but we don't discriminate against them for that. So as Christians, we tend to cherry pick which sins they will actually go after versus ones that they'll just kind of sweep under the rug. That's the ugly truth about the Christianity as man portrays it. Look, I've long said this. If Jesus were here today, we will crucify him all over again. And who would crucify him? The Christians would crucify him because they would claim that he is too liberal. He hangs out with the sinners. He shows grace and mercy on sinners. And he would be crucified for doing what it is that we were supposed to be doing in the first place. The Pharisees and the religious scribes and zealots back then, and the hierarchy, and it was the Pharisees and Sadducees, all these folks, they actually thought they knew better than God himself, who inspired his own word and the teachings that they were supposed to be living their lives from. But they knew better than him. So just like they did not recognize Christ when he walked among them, we would not recognize him today either. And all of these mandates or these executive orders that are coming out in the name of patriotism and national security and America first, folks, don't be deceived. This is all just fodder. It is veil, and it is a cover to reinstitute Jim Crow. That's all it is. And we have to be discerning. We have to do the research. I'm just reminded, we're talking about making offers and be careful about the offers that you get. I remember in the Bible when Satan tempted Jesus and said, hey, I can give you all these things if you just bow to me. I can give you all these things. I can do this for you. And Jesus resisted. And he resisted, by applying the word of God, because he understood and he knew the motive behind that offer from Satan. He resisted because he knew what the consequences and the fallout would be. He didn't bow to a momentary fleshly desire. So when Trump says, if you vote for me, I'm going to give you this. If you vote for me, I'm going to give you that. We as adults, we as Christians, we need to take a step back. Well, it's too late now, but I was asking people to take a step back and take a look at what the consequences of that vote would be. You may give me a judge or a Supreme Court that may overturn Roe v. Wade, but what else is there? What's behind door number 2? What else comes with a vote for Trump? Now, a lot of minorities, you're going to see it. Satan will appeal to your fleshly desires. He will appeal to your biases. He will appeal to those things that seem right to you, but you'll be blinded by those things, not realizing the full impact of your decision. And then once you made that decision, Trump said he thanked Black people and he loves Black people. Thank you for your vote, Black and Hispanic. Thank you for putting a confidence in me and trusting me. And then he turns right around and he starts deporting people. Well, people say, oh, well, good. Get those illegals out of here. Okay. we're going to see how grateful you are going to be for that, because I know a lot of people in this country who their parents did not come here legally, okay, but children were born here. Now, I think they said they're going to try to make it to where it's not retroactive, but I think beginning February 25th, I believe, was the date going forward. If you're here illegally, if your status is not legal and you have a child here, that your birthright is going to be denied. You're not going to be a U.S. citizen. Now, I don't believe Trump will be able to do that. There will be a lot of hurdles, legal hurdles, constitutional hurdles he will have to clear. But you know what? We're living in a different day and age. And so we just don't know what will happen, because he's putting in a lot of crazy people and unqualified people into office. So your Secretary of Defense, if you look at this man's, what's his name, Hagsworth, if you look at his qualifications compared to a Colin Powell, Lloyd Austin, this guy looks like a Boy Scout, because he's actually been accused of rape, and he actually got off on those charges, then he settled. And his reputation is not a very good reputation. He doesn't want women in the military. He doesn't want people that are gay in the military. Look, I can tell you just from experience, even when I served, there were a lot of people who were gay in the military. They just had to hide it back then. But a lot of them earned, lots of awards for their service, going above and beyond. I have more news for you. A lot of Republicans are undercover homosexuals and lesbians. And those are some of the same ones who are coming out and saying, hey, we're against this, and this is immoral. And, I just don't get all into that stuff. I don't know the saying, but they say he who protested too much or thou protested too much. I just don't worry about that stuff. I'm secure in my manhood and my sexuality. I don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Like I said, again, that is a moral issue, and that's going to be between you and God. But these guys are just too concerned to me about the sexuality of people. Pray for people, love people, just like the Bible told you to. I have no doubt that if Jesus was here, he would actually be sitting down and having dinner and fellowshipping with people all walks of life, no matter what your sexual orientation is, what your criminal background is, no matter what, whatever the, I guess the denomination is, he would be sitting down and he would be interested in the hearts of those people and redeeming them unto the kingdom. Yeah, getting back to Hagsworth. Hagsworth is woefully and unqualified. I mean, this guy should be nowhere near the Office of Defense. So when you talk about a DEI hire, as the Republicans like to try to indicate that it's basically about hiring unqualified people, this would be it. Tulsi Gabbard is coming up next. Man, I don't even know where to start with Tulsi Gabbard, but she is a national security risk, and I would put her nowhere near the NSA. I mean, she's going to have access to all sorts of sensitive information, top secret information. She is compromised, if you will, by foreign governments. And top it off, she's not even qualified. So why are we putting her in that role? So Christians, I just really, I'm disappointed with you, to be honest, because I feel like you have been duped. You look at Donald Trump, you had every opportunity to examine this man, to judge him by the fruits of the Spirit. The Bible has given you proper guidance on how to make good and sound judgments. I have not seen a single fruit of the Spirit that Donald Trump actually lives up to or even tries to embody. I have invited pastors to come on to Religion, Economics, and Politics to debate me about this. The only thing you can tell me is that, well, Donald Trump is against LGBTQ community, he's against abortion, and he says he's a Christian. That's all you can tell me, but you cannot come on here and actually point to anything and support it biblically that Donald Trump has done outside of make you promises. Well, Satan made promises to Jesus also. I still haven't gotten that debate yet. because, and I know you won't come on, you won't do it because you can't. There's a difference between fruits of the Spirit and works of the flesh. Donald Trump has, just since the beginning, I'll go all the way back. Donald Trump has discriminated against African Americans for housing. He was sued. He didn't want black people living in his buildings. He was sued and he had to settle the case to make it go away, because basically he knew he was going to lose that case. He called for their execution. These young men were coerced into giving a confession to raping and killing a woman. Come to find out they didn't even do it. Donald Trump has still, to this day, yet to apologize for that. His father was a part of the Nazi Party here in the United States. That's well documented. Donald Trump has been found liable in multiple civil cases where he has looted and stolen from charitable organizations that he set up. One of them was for children with cancer, and he stole from that charity. Now, how low can you be? He started Trump University, and you can go and look any of this stuff up. It is well documented. He started Trump University. It all turned out to be fraudulent. He just basically used it as a piggy bank. And it was supposed to be, I think, for real estate, to teach you how to be a real estate mogul like Donald Trump. No one ever made any money. All they did was put money in, and no one ever got anything back. A lot of people lost money. So he had to pay out in that case. I could go on and on. He filed bankruptcy 5 times, leaving many contractors on the hook for thousands, sometimes millions of dollars.